Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast, co-starring 10-year NFL veteran and Super Bowl champion, Will Blackmon.
Manning from the end zone. He throws, and a deflect away, and it is picked off by Will Blackmon, the former Giant.
Tim Dwight watches it hit, bounces, picks it up at the 10, slips a defender, fumbles the football, it's up for grabs, it's covered in the end zone by Will Blackmon for a Green Bay touchdown!
And now, here is your host,
Let's send it over to Rick Bucher.
Rick Bucher.
Welcome to another episode of Bucher and Blackmon, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends on the United WeCast Network. I'm Rick Bucher. He is NFL vet and Super Bowl champ Will Blackmon. You can catch him on NFL Game Day Live Sundays on NFL Network or on Twitter at Will Blackmon. You can read my stuff on Bleacher Report and at Rick Bucher on Twitter. And you can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. All right. Whoo, Will.
I know. I had to catch my breath.
What a day in the NFL. Let me just run down. I think these all qualify as upsets. You can tell me if I get any of these wrong. Dolphins 34, Patriots 33.
Upset, however, history says otherwise.
Yes. Colts 24, Texans 21.
Nope.
Not an upset.
I saw the Colts potentially being able to get these games towards the end. But yeah, upset because of the streak that the Texans are on, but the Colts are good enough. It's weird because they're on a streak and the Colts just lost 6-0 last week. But go ahead.
All right, hold on. You're the same Will Blackmon who told me last week that the playoff picture would not change and that the Colts could not be part of that.
They couldn't be part of it. But I spoke earlier this year about that these are games that they could possibly do.
You spoke about this with me?
I don't think so. I think this is the network, which is even better because it's live. That's live on TV, so it's documented. How about that?
It might be better, but it's not. The only thing I knew about you and the Colts was last week when you were throwing water on the idea that they could be part of the playoff picture. So I assumed that you didn't think that they were, and we do have the Texans in the playoff picture. So by those two standards, I would think that this would qualify as an upset in your mind, but you're saying no. Okay, we'll continue. 49ers 20, Broncos 14. Upset?
Oh, definitely an upset.
Okay, thank you. So I got I'm 1 for 3 with you right now.
Yeah, no one. Kittles is playing out of his mind, but go ahead. Please continue.
Raiders 24, Steelers 21.
Massive upset.
Yeah. By the way, and we're not going to spend too much time on this, but I was curious just because Chris Boswell missed 2 field goals. He missed one from 40 yards with 5 seconds left. The Steelers didn't blame it on the field. Mike Tomlin didn't. Boswell didn't. But we all know what the Oakland Coliseum's reputation is when it comes to the infield and it comes to the turf. And now, obviously, the infield's not there any longer because baseball season is over. But how much do you look at that and say players around the league will be glad when the Coliseum is no longer part of the NFL circuit because it's a dog track?
No, that field is horrible. That field is horrendous. I mean, when I returned punts there, when I was on the Jaguars playing against the Raiders, I slipped about 3 times in one play. However, we know this going into the game.
Right.
Get the right shoes, Now, it's tough because I probably switched my shoes about 3 times that game. But you know that. So you have to, especially for kickers, I mean, get your warm-up, get your practice, figure it out, That's still no excuse. At the end of the day, everyone has a job.
Yeah, and I'm not offering an excuse in that, but at the same time acknowledging that the Coliseum has a reputation for being, is it, as far as your experience, the worst field that you've played on?
It's just terrible grass because it's not meant for football.
Right. It's meant for ground balls.
Yeah, exactly. Because at one point you're on the warning track, the other point you don't know if you're at third base, and yeah, it's not really. I mean, the worst field I played on is probably. We played at Wembley because that's not designed for football, for American football either. That's for soccer.
Yeah. So compare those two, because I would think Wembley was good footing.
No, Wembley was not for football.
Really?
Yeah, it was really slick. That's why if you ever watch let's say an England game and it's at Wembley, that ball is moving for soccer, meaning the field
Yes.
is slick. So for us too, it's tough because also we have to wear 7 studs, and that it's not really conducive to a faster game.
So you're wearing 2, 4, and 1 in the front?
Yep, on the toe plate.
Yeah. And the only difference is with soccer on the long ones, when you wear your long studs, you wear 6.
Yeah, there is no toe
You wouldn't
plate.
have that toe plate one. But because of all the cutting in soccer, I would have thought, I've walked on Wembley, I've never played on it. I would have thought that the change of direction and the traction for your cleats would be good on that. I understand where it wouldn't be on the Oakland Coliseum because that clay underneath, or the dirt underneath the grass, has a lot of clay to it. And so you can't get a good grip. But I'm surprised that Wembley would not give you good footing. That surprises me.
Well, unless you're, a defender or a midfielder, you're not really opening up in a full sprint, in terms of...
Are you talking soccer now?
Listen to me.
Did I get Will Blackmon talking soccer? And are you suggesting that positionally you don't run fast if you're a defender or a midfielder?
Yeah, opening up like...
Dude, but defenders overlap all the time into the offense.
I'm saying they are opening up. Like, I'm talking about a full run where they could be subjective into to slipping and stuff like that. But I mean, in terms of forwards controlling the ball, it's real short, choppy steps.
Yeah. Okay. I can't argue with that. You've experienced it. I am really surprised that the traction or the footing would be that dramatic, or that it would be that dramatically different in terms of your cutting hard in football compared to the cuts that you have to make in soccer. But duly noted. I want to go back to the game that you said was not an upset because of location, and that was the Dolphins over the Patriots. And so the Dolphins hook and ladder. How many times have you seen that work in your career?
I've seen it as an offensive play probably twice that I can think of, including today.
Okay. First time.
The first time I was a sophomore at Boston College, and it was in December. It was the Saints versus the Jaguars. And the Saints were in Jacksonville, and they were down, and they ended up running their hook and ladder play, and they scored, and they made it 20-19. They were down 1 point, and all John Carney had to do was make the extra point. Shankopotamus. It's still called the River City Relay because they call it River City down there in Jacksonville. But yeah, that was unbelievable play. Aaron Brooks was the quarterback. That was a lot I didn't think of that I saw live.
So from a defensive standpoint, just watching it, and we're obviously prisoners of the camera, so you don't get the wide view of exactly what's going on. But the Patriots, and I've seen this with the hook and ladder in a lot of instances, it's a matter of kind of contain, but there's not an urgency to get the guy down on the ground. Are there defensive principles? What are the defensive principles to defending the hook and ladder?
Well, actually, no. And I saw the Miami Hurricanes did it, but that was from a kickoff. They did it too against Duke, I believe last year. What's surprising about this is that the Patriots, they are the standard in terms of situational football.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Bill Belichick has them prepared on all levels, no matter what it is. And so that's why this was surprising that he got caught. The team got caught in this situation. But the principles I see in terms of, defending it is the same things I see in full court press. Attack the ball. There's no need to wait for them. If you're pressing, then you're going to press. Make them get rid of the football. There's nothing to wait for, because at the end of the day, in football, you have to pass it backwards. They can't throw it forward. So whoever has the football, attack them and make them get rid of the football.
So with that in mind, what did you think of the way the Patriots approached that play in this game?
Almost looked like, okay, Drake has the ball. He's looking to pitch it. He's probably not going to take off. And by the time Kenyon Drake made a decision that he's going to take off, that was it. He looked in front of him. He said, "Oh, I have Gronk in front of me. Oh, I'm taking off."
So a lot has been made about the fact that they had Gronk out there and presumably had him out there for a Hail Mary pass. Whether that was a realistic possibility in that situation has been debated. How much of an egregious mistake is that in the big scheme of things. Obviously, it looks bad because Gronk was the last guy who had a shot at Drake to stop him from getting to the end zone. But that aside, situationally, how egregious was it that he was on the field in that situation?
No, it was fine. They were preparing for a Hail Mary, I'm sure, and to have him out there. And like I said, this is a rare situation where this type of play actually works, and it so happened to work in this case.
In the big scheme of things, of all these upsets, what's the most impactful as far as you go, you know what, this changes my view of this team? And we'll throw in the Sunday night game, the Bears-Rams as well. The Bears 15-6 win, I believe, was the final. And how much that impacts your view of what the Rams are capable of?
I actually saw this coming as a trap game. Not a trap game as in the Bears are the lesser opponent, but the Rams, they are the number one seed right now in the NFC. But the Bears are a very good team. And for them to go out there in Chicago in December, it just didn't look like a recipe for success for them. And both Trubisky and Goff were just throwing picks left and right. So, yeah, this was one of those road bump games where it's like, okay, we're going to get beat down and let's just get up out of here, head back to LA and regroup.
You went to school in New England. You grew up in Rhode Island. You live in Orange County now. How much do you buy into the whole mentality of where you play and reside builds up your ability to deal with inclement weather?
It's funny. I laugh at it because, right, I'm from Rhode Island, cold. Went to Boston College, really cold. Got drafted by Green Bay, freezing. And then you play in Minnesota. You play, it was indoors, it still is now. But you play in Chicago, it's freezing. But you know how to prepare for it, but it doesn't mean you like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of teams found out, like, okay, they don't like the cold either. You don't have to like it.
Right.
But you do get used to it in terms of like how to prepare. When I was in Green Bay, we had an equipment manager his name is Red Batty, and he actually used to find all these cool garments and gadgets and tools to help us out. I think Favre was the first quarterback to have hand warmers in his jersey.
Oh, in the jersey.
Yeah, so that's the thing now. Like, they have hand warmers in the jersey. I believe Red Batty was the first one to do that for Brett Favre.
They sometimes have the little kangaroo pouch thing. Now they have them kind of tucked into the jersey itself. Or I've seen quarterbacks who've had that.
Yeah, part of the jersey.
Right. It's got the little pockets.
So his hands are right like behind the four.
Got you. Any personal tricks that you used? Because we played in New Hampshire. So we'd go the Vaseline route, or you'd put something on if you were going to have any exposed skin. You'd grease up, and that would help a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny. You obviously get the foot warmers, you get the little hand warmers. They had this lotion called Warm Skin. I guess it's supposed to like clog the pores or something to protect you from the cold. Mm-hmm. Some guys wore, like gloves underneath their other gloves, like latex gloves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dude. Some guys will put tape on their helmet so the air doesn't go inside their ears. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, if the wind is blowing, there is not a damn thing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Nothing. We played the Bears, I want to say it was 2007 or 2000. I can't remember, 2007 or 8. We played the Bears in Chicago. I remember we got there on Saturday. It was like minus 12, but it was okay. The wind wasn't blowing. It was fine. We woke up the next morning. It was minus 23, and the wind was about 50 miles per hour. Miserable.
Yeah. I've been in that Chicago wind.
Absolutely miserable. I mean, we got off the bus when we got to Soldier Field. It was like, dude, there's no way. Like, there's no way we want to play today. So we go out to warm-ups, and I'm like, first of all, Coach Slocum, he was a special team coach when I was there, and he was kicking me the football, and the football would fly to the top deck. He might have been 6 feet away from me, and he was just trying to give me a football that I can just catch.
Yeah.
So it literally looked like we were just playing like hacky sack or something like that. It looked like that, right? So then I looked to the left of me, and Brett Favre is warming up, like, throwing a football, that kind of warming up. And I was like, well, I'm thinking in my head, this is Brett Favre, never missed a game. Dude used to, back in the day, have Vicodin without water, just so I'm
Tough
just
guy.
like, tough guy. Yeah. So I go up to him like, Brett, I said, it's cold, but it's not bad out here, right? And he's like, well, it is effing cold right now. And I was like, no way, the legend is cold. So I ran back into the locker room. I was like, yo, everybody. I said, Brett Favre is cold. We are going to lose today.
Way to go, Paul Revere.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. The British are coming. I was like, yo, Brett Favre is cold. It is a wrap. And, dude, we end up, I forgot. I got to find the score. We end up getting our asses handed to us. But I think Ryan Grant was the only one who, I think he had incentive, so he played really well that day as running the football. So the funniest thing, too, what happened that game, so we go into the locker room. We're like frozen, right? What's funny is, so on defense, every time the play was over, everybody would run back to the sideline to be near the little torch to warm us up. So at halftime, we go in the locker room. They have chicken noodle soup, broth, they got hot chocolate. I mean, they had everything in there. It was like a bunker, man. It was awesome. So then we come out at halftime. We're receiving the kick, and so I come out and I go back there to receive the kick. And I usually, I keep count of the guys on the field. So I'm counting, and I'm like, yo, we only got like 6 dudes out here. Like, where's the other 5? Actually, no, it was like 4. There's 4 of us out there, and then Chicago's lined up ready to kick the ball, and the ref's like, yo, Coach McCarthy, where's the rest of your guys at? And he's like, wait, he's counting. He's like, where the hell's everybody at? And you see guys coming out the locker room with cups of hot chocolate and broth. Dude, it was so funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All the signs of it's not going to be the Packers' day.
Yeah, we were like, yo, let's just get whooped and get out of here. Yeah, exactly. See, I just pulled it up. The coldest game in history.
Will Blackmon, part of history.
Dude, we got stomped. Absolutely stomped.
All right. Well, another team that you're familiar with got stomped today. Actually, 2 teams. But your New York Giants stomped your Washington Redskins 40-16. And DJ Swearinger had some things to say afterward. And closeted, cloaked, innuendo, those all apply. This is what he had to say.
Can't say the players, man, because we the same players. We the same guys. We put in the same work. Defense, we practicing hard. For my players, I'm speaking for my players, we practicing hard. So from a player standpoint, we practicing, bro. So I don't know. Like I said, I can't give you no answer to that because I'm not the coach. But I know we trying to do what we need to do on defense as players. We trying hard. I can't tell you what need to be changed. I'm the coach. I've been on talented teams that went 2-14, and I've been on teams that talent wasn't so good that we went to the playoffs. So what's the difference? The difference is the chemistry, and I can't say nothing else. So
all right, so Will, help me out here. Break the code for me. What is DJ saying when he says, "Hey, we as players, we're doing everything they tell us to do"?
I need to get DJ on this podcast. That's what I need to do.
Yes. Amen. Absolutely.
That's possible. Man, you know what? It was surprising to me because I got some a lot of clicks on. I sent out a tweet saying that what's happening to the Redskins right now has nothing to do with their quarterback situation.
Right. I saw that.
Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, our quarterback has nothing. Because I'm like, dude, like the way they were just getting bullied and pushed around and ran by and thrown to the ground. I've seen so many plays. I'm like, this is beyond the quarterback issue because DJ is right. They do have the talent. They have the players, especially on defense across the board. Like you have the players that you need. And plus they're 6-6. It's not like they were, losing every game. They weren't playing well. For a couple of weeks, they were in the top 5 for defense. But they were just guys were in the wrong gaps again. There was a couple of plays where the safety, so I think he didn't come down and fill the right gap. And Josh Norman had a couple of tackles where he got stiffed on, and Saquon had 150 in the first half.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or put words in DJ's mouth, but the way he spoke, if it's not the players and it's not the players' effort, then that by deduction, and I'm not Sherlock Holmes, but I play one on podcasts, would suggest that it's the coaching.
Here's what I say about that. So I get that. When you say, oh, it's not us, it's not the players, yeah, you're obviously saying it's the coaches. I get that part. However, it's funny because I had a conversation with my wife, Shauna, about this. Like, man, did you hear this? And she's like, it's crazy because she goes, at the end of the day, this is from my wife's mouth, who's never touched a field in her life. She said, at the end of the day, the players still have to line up. You still have to play football. So you can be in situations where I remember when I was in Green Bay, we had a RG coordinator my first 3 years. I mean, he was calling stuff that guys didn't like. Mm-hmm. We had to play press man every single down. We're like, yo, let's switch it up a little bit. Let's try this. Let's try that. They're like, no, we're doing this. So we played press man, whether it was cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, quarters. It was press. And guys didn't like it. But we're like, okay, if this is what we got to do, then let's just make it work.
See, that is the key. And you can second this or not. I know this for a fact from the NBA. There's certain situations, plays out of timeouts. Some guys can get creative. They can see a mismatch and dial up the right play to take advantage of it. But by and large, it's not that somebody has special X's and O's that nobody's ever seen, or it's too complex for other teams. It's a matter of, is everybody buying into the X's and O's that you're selling? It's not that you're surprising anybody or you're outthinking them. It's a matter of whether the players ultimately buy in to what you're doing and everybody's in. The problem is that when the X's and O's, when somebody has a question or they're not like, I don't know, we're doing this, and a guy goes through the motions or he thinks he's committed to it, but he's not, that's when things break down.
Right. That's what it is. When everyone doesn't, and it's not even, like I said, everyone doesn't buy in, but if everyone disagrees, but they're like, okay, we still got to line up because that's us on tape. That's us on film.
Right.
We still have to line up. I forget where I was, but coach was like, hey, I'll call this all game. I know we can play it all game, but I try to change it up to give you guys a break. You know, like if we're playing man all game, I'll throw you a cover 2 so you guys can breathe a little bit. But if we do, then we do it. But that's what it is. Doesn't matter what coverage it is. Football is still all about blocking and tackling. That's it. You've been tackling since day one.
And then this is where I kind of crossed the line. I believe that it's incumbent upon the coaches to convince players to buy in. Like, if a guy's not buying in, and you've put it kind of in a weird place where guys may disagree. Look, there's a difference for me between you don't like it and you disagree. Like, if you don't like it, it might be, man, this is hard, and it doesn't have to be this hard. And then there's disagree, which is, this ain't going to work. Those are two different things.
Right. But even if it's not going to work, you have to know that you're in a stressful situation. You have to make it work. When I was on the Redskins, it was 15, we went down to Dallas. And I remember there was a series where Coach Joe Barry, who was a defensive coordinator at the time, he kept calling cover 0. And when you call cover 0, that means your ass is on the line. You have no help at all. And I remember Coach, he called cover 0 probably 3 times in a row. And probably by the third time, we all looked at each other in the huddle like, yo, what is this dude doing? He keeps calling 0. We're like, hey, man, yo, we just got to line up and, yo, we got to make it work, you know? Me, I like 0. I like cover 0. I like the pressure, the rush of having no help. I got to handle this. I like that. But it did get exhausting because you're chasing this dude all the time. But like I was saying, it's still at the end of the day, you got to make it work. Now, what else I can see from what DJ was saying is maybe is not so much about the X's and O's. Maybe it's a culture thing. You know, maybe he's alluding to, hey, I've been places where, you know, certain things are ran like this, certain things are ran like that. Certain guys aren't held accountable for this. Certain guys aren't held accountable for that. And I stated this earlier in this year that DJ he's playing well, but he has a lot of mistakes out there too. We're not saying that he's perfect, but he is the one who does show up and tries to motivate and tries to be the vocal leader, and he is exhausted. He's like, dog, it's the same nonsense every week. I can't tell another grown man what to do and how to do it. I can help him a little bit, but at the end of the day, when he goes home, he still has to make it important to himself to prepare and do well. You know, anywhere I went, I'll toot my horn a little bit. Anywhere I've went, If I walk into a facility, they're like, okay, we know Will's going to be a pro. What is a pro? A guy who prepares, a guy who's going to show up, a guy who's going to be on time, a guy who's going to study, a guy who's going to lead, who's going to mentor, who's going to do all these things to help the team, Guys, I feel like a lot of these coaches and a lot of these general managers, they fall in love with, oh, this guy runs a 4.3. This guy had, 2,000 yards rushing. It's like, no, but where are the intangibles that you have to build a team? Yeah, you can have your superstars here and that, but it's the bottom of your roster. It's the middle guys. It's the veteran guys who can help facilitate that.
What you just described, people often attribute to the Steelers as being a team that sometimes values or appears to value talent over discipline or execution.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I disagree with that because the Steelers are a team that has dealt with so much adversity, so many outside distractions, or even internal with their own running back situation. However, year in and year out, they're always in contention.
Right.
So when it comes to a point where they're not competing for championships or, even the playoffs, then that's where we can talk about it. But every year, Coach Tomlin, it's almost like a reality show. The family fights, but at the end of the day, the family gets along. The family figures it out.
Right. And based on results, if they weren't executing, if they weren't disciplined, they couldn't consistently be the team that ends up on the top in the AFC North, is what you're saying.
They couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't. They couldn't because, once again, they have a veteran O-line. They have a veteran quarterback. They have a veteran receiver in Tony Brown. They have a young defense, but they do have some veteran guys over there as well. And they have a head coach that can handle all those personalities. They have a head coach that can handle all that adversity. That's why they work. I mean, they should have won today, but it was what it was. So I disagree with that.
Okay. Anything in terms of the playoff picture after the loss today by the Eagles to the Cowboys, and we're not counting that as an upset, right?
No.
Maybe the way it happened.
I'm upset. I'm upset that no one decided to cover Amari Cooper. That's what I'm upset about.
Yeah.
Come on,
no
man.
doubt.
That was probably one of the best wide receiver performances I've seen in a while. That was just absolute. Just every time he threw the ball, he just dominated.
How much of that is him? How much of that is the coverage and the way the competition played?
That was all Amari Cooper. Period. Because it was just man to man.
Yeah. How do you explain that the Eagles? Well, I guess my second part to that is simply assessing the talent of the secondary of the Eagles and what Amari Cooper did, and saying, you know what? No, he beat really good talent. He beat guys in good coverage with good technique. He was just better.
He beat NFL DBs. Those coaches felt comfortable to put them in that situation, and that's what happened. If the coaches felt comfortable to not give those DBs help over top, then so be it. That's their fault. They evaluated those guys. There's going to be a lot of there's going to be tryout Tuesday. There's going to be some DBs in Philly. I tell you that.
The Eagles are now 6-7. I don't see them making the playoffs. If you're going to point to one thing as to why a team that won the Super Bowl and is not making the playoffs the next year, what would it be?
Well, what they did last year, they did a great job running the football. And I think the fact that Ajayi, his situation really messed things up in that regards. And when you can run the football, then everything else opens up, And it got to the point where they just kept going to Ertz, and it's like, okay, if we can stop Ertz, then we're good.
Are you seeing anything different from Wentz? Any aftermath to because I believe the ACL was on his plant foot, the one he steps into. Are you seeing anything about the way he's throwing the football that makes you think, you know what, he's still recovering from that?
See, where ACL gets tricky, if you start having some cartilage issues and cartilage damage, that's where you can have problems.
Because you've got bone on bone when you're landing on that?
Right. So that's where you can have issue. So I'm going to go back to my point before I continue what Carson was. Last year, Philly finished third in rushing. This year, they are all the way down at number 23.
Wow.
So, that's a huge, massive, glaring stat right there is being able to run the football. And they had a three-headed monster where, Clement, and they had Ajayi, and they had Blunt, and then Sproles sometimes. But yeah, I think just health and not being able to run the football, that was their key. They were able to, if you could run the football, the RPO game is off the chart. That's your number one tool. So I think that's what's going on right now with them. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Before we go, you went to a hockey game.
I did.
What's the sport that you are the biggest fan of outside of football?
Soccer.
But your son does not play soccer.
At all.
Did you ever entertain that?
We tried it with him when he was about 2, and that's just like a free-for-all, like kick everybody. There's no technique. There's no tactics, nothing. So he was kind of over it. So I do like tease him about it, like, hey, you should check it out. You should check it out. Because he has 2 other friends that are really good at it, and our son is really fast. He's tall. He even has cool soccer hair, but he's kind of like whatever, and which is fine. I don't push him to play any sports. I just like, hey, he can go at his own pace. It's funny because he went to me and my wife Shauna, went to both of us, and he's like, hey, I want to try wrestling. All right, yeah, because after
How old is he now?
he's 7 right now.
And what's his name?
Ryder. Yeah. So, because after school, every day the kids go in the courtyard and they wrestle. And there's a couple of kids that they do jujitsu. They take all these classes. Yeah, they take all these classes, and he just like dominates, So he's like, I want to try wrestling for real. So we signed him up. Actually, Mark Munoz, former UFC fighter, also All-American wrestler. He has a wrestling club out here that starts with the youth all the way up through adults. And so we found that, and he went in there, and he's loving it. It's funny. They were all excited because he's athletic, he's long, he's fast and quick. So he likes it right now.
So he's going to go back to the schoolyard and just like kick some serious ass.
He already has been. So so now he's going to have actually like technique and strategy. So it's funny. It's funny. But no, like I said, it's up to him. Right now, our son's incredible, man. He's all A's in school. He loves math. He's taking guitar lessons. He loves swimming. He's really good at the IM. He's going to play football in the spring, and he wrestles right now. And this is all his choice. I don't ask him to do it. I'm like, you have to do something. I want you to do something, character building and just do something. So these are all the things that he's picked. And as long as he picks it, I feel like that's the most powerful thing when it's his choice. And then all my wife, Shauna, and I do, we just support him and get him the best equipment, and if you want to do something, we'll go full throttle with it. So as long as he has fun, that's the main thing. And that's the main thing too. I want to speak on that too. As long as he has fun, I don't want him to like not do something because it's difficult. I'm like, if you don't want to play, so if you don't want to swim anymore, then don't swim because you truly don't like it. I'm not having fun. This is boring. I don't like it. I'm uninterested. I get that. But if you don't want to swim anymore because it's difficult, then we got to work through that.
Right. Good stuff.
Parenting 101.
Yes. From Will Blackmon. You get it all here. You get everything here.
You get it all, yes. Don't push your kids, all right? Don't be like Rick.
When we come back in the next episode, we're obviously going to talk about the Vikings Seahawks. We're also going to talk about my kids and how I played soccer through college. Both of them signed off from soccer at a very early age. And yet there is still one being in my family that will play soccer with me. And he is pretty damn good. I will explain more in our next show. But we also are going to break down the Vikings and the Seahawks. I want to get Will's take on Lamar Jackson. It looks like he's the future quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. What have you seen from him that has changed so dramatically from the beginning of the year when people had questions about whether he could operate as a full-blown NFL quarterback, if indeed you have seen change? All of that in our next podcast. Remember, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. If you're enjoying the show, please drop us a rating, review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Screenshot your review and tweet it to us at Bucher Friends, and you'll be entered for a chance to win some swag from Ryan, Will, or me. And I've put together a swag package. As soon as we give away the Jerry Rice football, and we will be giving away the football, then we will have another contest. And I have a goodie bag that I've put together that I think you guys will enjoy. But we need to get the first one out of the way. So in the meantime, thanks for listening. Will and I will talk to you tomorrow.